Welcome to this presentation on irregular verbs. This is actually part 3 of a 3-part series. In this case, we look at verbs that do not follow the normal rules because they don't change, they do not change, even when they're supposed to. I'm Justin Rempel. Let's take a look at some more irregular verbs. So verbs are supposed to change, right? For example, if you've got a verb, which is an action word, and you're talking about an action that's happening in the past, the normal rule is that you add on the suffix ed. You add the letters ed onto the end. So for example, I talk to you in this presentation. But if I'm talking about the past tense, I would say I talked to you. I would just add that ed onto the end. That would let you know that the action I'm talking about took place sometime in the past. Some verbs don't change at all. They stay in their basic form that you start with, their neutral present tense form, whether you're talking in the past tense, whether you're using a participle form, they just always stay the same. Because these verbs don't follow the patterns or rules, there's no real easy way to learn them except on a case-by-case basis, with practice, with trial and error. So I'm going to outline some of the most common verbs that are irregular because they do not change at all. Just an odd pattern to these words. A lot of these verbs are really short, one-syllable words, and a lot of them end with the letter T. I don't know why, that's just a pattern I noticed. Let's look at some examples. Let's start with the word bet, which is to figure, to guess, to wager money on. I bet that you're going to have a great day tomorrow. This word does not change even if it's in the past tense. The past tense would not be betted. The past tense is still just bet. I bet him yesterday $100. We don't say betted, we still just say bet. Bid is a similar word. It's also a money word. It means to make an offer with money, usually at an auction. And bid does not follow the rules either. We don't say bidded when it's in the past tense. We just say bid. So he bid $200 on the pair of shoes. Cost, another money word, is another word for price, referring to how much something is worth or how much something is selling for. And it does not change like the rest of the verbs. We don't say costed. We just say cost when we're talking about something in the past tense. So that pizza cost him $10. We don't say costed. There's no ed. We just say cost. It doesn't change at all. Cut, which is to split with a tool, usually a knife or a pair of scissors. When we're talking about cutting things in the past tense, we don't say cutted. We just say cut. The word does not change. She cut the paper in half. Not she cutted. Hit, very common word for striking or punching something. When we're talking about hitting something in the past tense, we don't say hitted, we just say hit. He hit the other boxer very hard. Okay, not hitted, just hit. Let, see, these are mostly short words, mostly ending with T. Don't know why. Let, which means to allow something to happen. I let her choose first. All right, we don't say letted, we just say let. Put, which is a common verb for placing something somewhere or setting it down. I put the book on the counter. We don't say putted, we don't add an ed, we just say put. And lastly, a couple more. Read, which is a common one, especially in English courses where we're understanding text or words by looking at them, looking at the letters, deciphering their meaning. We don't say readed, we say read. However, here's the catch. This word in the past tense is pronounced differently, even though it's spelled the same. So we would say read. So if I'm talking about something that's happening now, I read the book that's in front of me. That's a present tense action that's currently happening. If I'm talking about that action that's happening in the past, I would say read. I read that book yesterday. So the pronunciation is different, but the spelling is the same. A little bit of a weird exception there. And the last example we're going to look at is shut, which is a word which means to close something. I shut the door. I shut the door right now, or I shut the door yesterday. It doesn't matter whether it's present or past tense. It's still just the word shut, not the word shutted. So these are some very common verbs in English, and they do not follow the rules. They are irregular. They do not change even when they're in the past tense.